What's going on, people? I hope everybody is cool, man. So real quick, I wanted to hop on here and share this clip with you guys of Piers Morgan having a conversation with the CEO of GiveSendGo in regards to him allowing the campaign of the white supremacist Shiloh Hendrix to go forward, even though she's raising money for, calling a 5-year-old little boy racist slurs. Okay, I want you all to check out this clip because Piers Morgan was pressing the guy like, hey man, you claim to be a Christian, you claim to be a Christian platform, yet you are allowing Shiloh Hendrix to raise money on your Christian platform after berating and endangering and calling a 5-year-old racist slurs. Check out this clip and then I'll be back with my commentary, but stick around because I'm definitely going somewhere with it. Check it out.
You know what would help you corporately? If you were genuinely true to your mission statement as a Christian site, that you want to protect children, and you were big on that at the start of this interview, I want to protect the kids, then you would remove her site immediately once you had established in your own brain that she'd racially abused a 5-year-old, which, by the way, she admits to doing, right? So you could just do that like that.
Yeah, no, we could do a lot of things, but in the country that we live in, there are certain fabric elements that make this America what it is, and they need to be defended. So
is free
just
speech
because
one
people
of them?
have upset feelings.
Free speech?
Free speech, freedom of expression.
Really? And yet, how odd? Because, Mr. Wells, unless I'm mistaken, you have now removed the ability to comment and removed all the comments on this particular donation site, haven't you? Where's the free speech rights of those people who commented? Or are you just a hypocrite?
No, well, recognize what free speech is. Free speech is a prohibition against the government enacting laws to prohibit your speech.
You literally just made a speech talking about freedom of expression and free speech, but you have removed all the comments from here. Why are you suppressing and censoring people's right to free speech to comment on these sites?
We have, as a private business, the right to operate our business the way that we want to operate our business.
You have the right to suppress free speech. I don't dispute it. I'm just curious why you pretend to be this great defender of free speech when you're literally doing the opposite.
No, what we saw very clearly in this situation was a campaign for Carmelo Anthony, and on the back of it, a campaign for Shiloh, and they were competing off of each other, and they were in a cycle of vitriolic tornado of sorts. And we said we need to put some calming effect on this by removing the back and forth element that's going on in this particular situation. It wouldn't necessarily have happened if these campaigns were completely independent, months, years apart from each other.
But as a Christian, because I'm told that the GiveSendGo site for Luigi Mangione, who we saw allegedly executing a healthcare boss in cold blood. I don't think there's much allegedly about it, but we'll let the process take its course. He's got nearly £1 million for his defence via your site, and it's sort of odd, isn't it? Is it not an inconsistency in your Christian position on this? That on the one hand, it
shows your lack of understanding what Christian faith actually stands for.
Okay, now you all just heard that, right? Now Piers Morgan was pretty much pressing him about that. All right, now, listen, check it out. What I want to talk about is this Jesus thing, because Piers Morgan was saying, hey man, you're a Christian. Why are you allowing, this racist woman to raise money on your platform after knowing what she did? You're a Christian. Why are you allowing that? Let's get something straight real quick. All right, let's get something straight. The Jesus that white supremacists exalt is not the Jesus of the Bible. Okay? That's not my opinion. That's a fact. All right? They crafted, listen, man, even the Jesus that this dude is talking about, they crafted a counterfeit Jesus, a whitewashed idol, right? Molded in hate to bless their power and cruelty. And they've been using that fake counterfeit Jesus to enslave, oppress, and fool people into thinking that they are Christians. And they have a lot of black MAGA food as well. They have a lot of black people food because they say the name Jesus, right? I've seen black MAGA online, well, at least they say the name Jesus. I mean, I haven't seen a Democrat ever say Jesus. At least these white supremacists say Jesus. I mean, you got to give them that. You got to give them that. Praise God, man. Listen, they are not exalting the real Jesus. They exalt fake white supremacist Jesus. Okay? These people, they exalt a Jesus that is a mascot of the Klan. They exalt a Jesus of colonizers. They exalt a Jesus that runs around waving a Confederate flag. They exalt a Jesus that is okay with burning crosses in lawns. That is the Jesus that they are talking about. They are not talking about the real Jesus of the Bible who died for the sins of the world. That is not who they exalt. Let's talk about it. The racist Jesus that these white supremacists exalt, and even the Jesus that this CEO of GiveSendGo is talking about, okay? That is a Jesus that was born on the plantations of the American South, right? Forged in the mouths of slave owners, plantation preachers, and politicians. The white supremacist Jesus that these dudes exalt, right, preaches obedience, not freedom, right? He blesses the whip and not the wounded. He sits silently while men, women, and children are shackled like animals, right? The Jesus that these dudes exalt, he shows up at church every Sunday but never steps foot into a poor man's house. He wears a suit, flies a Confederate flag, and blesses police misconduct and police violence with a Bible verse that's taken out of context. That is the Jesus that these white supremacists, these racist people exalt, man. This is why I am not moved when I hear these white supremacists talk about Jesus. Oh, I just believe in Jesus. Oh, we are a Christian organization. Oh, we believe in God. Listen, they are not moving me because I know that they are not talking about the same God, the same Jesus that I believe in. It's a totally different Jesus that these people are referring to, man. Seriously. When you hear these white supremacists talk about Jesus, they are talking about the Jesus that was used to silence Nat Turner, right? The Jesus that was used to murder Emmett Till, the Jesus that was used to shoot tear gas at protesters trying to fight for their rights, the Jesus that was used to justify every lynching, every burning of a cross, every unjust law, every mistreatment, etc. And yet they did it under signs of Jesus, driving around waving flags that said Jesus and Christian organization. That is the Jesus that these dudes are referring to, man. This is why I am not moved. I am not moved by these white supremacists talking about Jesus, because if you keep talking to them, you're going to see who they are for real. You're going to see that. All right? When it comes to reparations, the Bible tells you to pay what you owe. Give every man what you owe him, right? The Bible says that. But these dudes will tell you that, well, reparations is not owed. Let me give you all an example of something. When someone dies for medical malpractice, right? Who sues the hospital or the doctor? The family. The family. And you can say, well, the family didn't die. The family didn't suffer that malpractice. The family wasn't wounded. How come they get the money? Well, because that's the family. When a cop kills somebody unjustly, right? Who sues the police department? The family. Well, the family didn't die unjustly. The family wasn't shot by the cop. Yeah, but they're getting the money. based upon the wrongdoing that was done to their relative. It is the same with reparations. You enslaved and did all kinds of evil, atrocious acts to my ancestors. Once it comes to the conclusion that I had an ancestor who was a slave and that person is no longer here, then I, as a relative of that person, have a right to sue on their behalf. Facts. But nevertheless, these people worship a fake Jesus, man. Stop being fooled by this Jesus that they talk about and start looking at the fruit of people, right? Look at the fruit, man. See, before I get up out of here, Nat Turner knew the difference between this fake Jesus and the real Jesus that he knew, right? But see, they were worshiping a fake Jesus, right? Nat Turner knew that. He saw the Bible being used like a weapon, twisted and manipulated. They told him, slaves, obey your masters. But Nat Turner read deeper. This is where a lot of people get misconstrued. Nat Turner read deeper. They were enslaving people based upon Old Testament Levitical laws. Old Testament, right? But when Nat Turner learned how to read, he read 1 Corinthians 7:21, where it says, quote, were you a slave when you were called? Don't let that trouble you. But if you can gain your freedom, do so, unquote. That verse hit different, right? See, it's clear God ain't trying to keep you in chains. He trying to set you free, right? But when Nat Turner read closer, he saw that these people were keeping people enslaved, keeping black people enslaved based upon Old Testament laws. But when Christ came, all of that changed. A lot of things changed when Christ came. And a lot of people don't know how to separate the two and differentiate between the Old and the New Testament, right? They try to take Old Testament Levitical laws into the New Testament, right? Now, for example, in the Old Testament, a man was stoned to death just for gathering sticks on the Sabbath, right? Numbers 15. But in the New Testament, Jesus came and said the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath, right? Mark 2:27. He was saying compassion is the way to go, right? Not your religious laws, right? The old system was harsh and often deadly, but Jesus came to fulfill it and replace it with mercy, justice, and freedom. Nat Turner saw that and he realized that this American version of Christianity wasn't Christian at all. It was a lie with a cross on top. So he rose, he rebelled, not against just slavery, but against the fake Jesus that this white supremacist is talking about. Okay? You got politicians out here quoting scriptures while pushing hate. That's not Jesus. And shouting Jesus. That's not the real Jesus. You got pastors out here who are silent on injustice but loud about law and order while claiming Jesus. That's not the real Jesus. Right? You got Christians out here, right, who cry over burning flags but not injustice. That's not the Jesus that I know, man. All right? That's not the Jesus. So you have to understand that the Jesus that these white supremacists speak of is not the same Jesus of the Bible. They push a fake, made up, man-made Jesus. All right. They push a Jesus of white supremacy, a Jesus of the Klan, a Jesus of the Proud Boys, a Jesus of racist MAGA, a fake Jesus. It is not the real Jesus of the Bible, because you look at the teachers of Jesus of the Bible and you look at the actions of these white supremacists, it is totally different. Stop being fooled by this fake Jesus that they're talking about. You ain't fooling me, though. But you got a lot of people fooled. But I'm here to break that chain, though. To God be the glory. Y'all be blessed. Peace.